Smokin Gunz Podcast. Oh. Let's do that again. Smokin Gunz Podcast.
It is a cool song, but
it is. No, it is. I'm getting to where I want to listen to it all the way through because there's a whole back half of the theme song that for years we haven't heard. We've always used that front part of the song. And then as we moved over to this new platform, we started hearing the end of it. And I'm like, the end of it is just as good.
I like it.
Smokin Gunz Podcast. We are a podcast that deals with professional football in San Antonio. That's all inclusive. It includes the San Antonio Gunslingers of the National Arena League, as well as the San Antonio Brahmas of the XFL, and anything else we want to talk about when it comes to pro football. I mean, we talk about some NFL stuff. We're going to talk about an XFL Championship game today a lot, and that's got something to do with the Brahmas, sort of, but it happened in San Antonio. So we all three were there. We're going to talk about that some. I am Philip Higginbotham. I'm one of your hosts for the Smokin Gunz Podcast. I am joined, as always, by my friends. I always start with Leo. I'm going to start with RC this time. RC,
all right. Hello, beautiful people. Really ambassadors of San Antonio of the XFL this weekend, because sure. I think we did a great, amazing job promoting San Antonio to all of the fans coming from DC, coming from Arlington, coming literally from all parts of San Antonio, and even other parts of the country. I know that we met someone from, I think, Detroit, and I go, so what team are you going for? He goes, I don't really care. I just came here for football, for the XFL. I'm like, you came all the way from Detroit? And he's like, yeah. So really, ambassadors, we did a great job.
That is great. We will talk all about the XFL Championship game and some of the XFL news, because there's even news coming out today about some of these players that we know and we love that are signing contracts. We're going to talk about all of that in the second hour. We're going to do all of our XFL coverage back in the back half. In the front half of our show, for the rest of the season, though, we're talking about San Antonio Gunslingers football in the NAL. Why? Because they're 4-0. Because they are the dominant team in the National Arena League. They were on a bye week this week, and they still looked really good. I mean, they gave the bye week hell, and came out of the bye week with a win. We've got Coach Fred Shaw coming up in a few minutes. He's going to bring some players maybe with him. They are at practice right now. So normally we record on Mondays. This week we talked about recording on Tuesday. In fact, if you are a constant listener to the show, you will know that we said we were going to record on Tuesday, and then like Friday afternoon I got a piece of mail from my kid's school that said, hey, Tuesday night we're doing our 5th grade graduation, and my youngest daughter is in 5th grade, and I'm like, well, I love the Smokin Gunz Podcast, but I can't do a Smokin Gunz Podcast and miss my daughter's 5th grade graduation. So we bumped back to Monday, which is a night that they do not usually practice on. So I was like, sweet, we'll get coach, we'll get players. I reached out to him and he goes, no, we're practicing that night. We need to get ready. We've been on a bye week and we need an extra day of practice this week. So we're out of practice that night, but we'll give you a call and we'll connect with you guys and talk with you for a few minutes. So he's coming, Coach Fred Shaw. He's bringing a player with him or two. And so we'll talk to them in a few minutes, but they are getting ready for the very first. Oh, I introed RC, but then Leo, if you were watching on the stream, he skipped out on me during the intros. He had to go check on something. Leo Yamas, another one of our co-hosts. How you doing, Leo?
I'm doing good. Sorry, man. What's up, Smokin Gunz posse? I had to step out. There was like this a very strange, loud noise that that happened just outside my house. That had me a little concerned. I just had to go check real quick, but we're all good and I'm back.
Folks checking in with us on Facebook and YouTube. You can also find us on Twitter, but you can't converse with us if you're watching live on Twitter. So if you're wanting to talk with us, swing over to YouTube, swing over to Facebook. Mo Ferrante checking in. What's up, Smokin Gunz crew? Hi, Mo.
Hi, Mo.
Hey, you found it. We had a whole conversation a few minutes ago, Mo and I did, about like, when is it today? Is it tomorrow? Is it 3/16 or 5/16? Something she was reading or I put out there was not right. Cody Brooks checking in. Man, you're supposed to be practicing right now.
The Manimal.
And James Painter also checking in.
Hi, James.
Guns up. Mo said, oh my God, I was reading the numbers, all kinds of crazy. Happens to me all the time. Happens to me all the time. So let's talk a little bit about Gunslingers football. We'll get to all the XFL stuff. It was a great time at the championship game, and we want to talk about all of that, but we want to talk about the Gunslingers because this week begins a rivalry that I think is going to become a big deal.
The Texas Showdown.
It may not become a big deal this year. And the reason I say that is the San Antonio Gunslingers are the dominant team in the NFL right now. AL right now. The Warbirds are an expansion team, and they're just getting started. But that doesn't mean you can write them off and be like, okay, well, then the Gunslingers are 5-0, because this is very much what we call around football and around sports as a whole as what, Leo? What can this be? This could be a trap game, don't you think?
Oh yeah, the trap game for sure. If you're looking past somebody, you're not ready. You're not there to play a game, but we expect better from our Gunslingers this season.
Coach Fred Shaw, all those guys over there at the Gunslingers have had a mantra all season long. It's really been something that has been in the background for Coach Fred Shaw's, both of Coach Fred Shaw's seasons, to the point that if I order a custom Gunslinger jersey at this point going forward with my name on it, I never have a number that I pick. 11 is like the number I put on my jerseys because Danny White was number 11. He was my favorite quarterback when I was growing up. I think I'm going to start putting 10 on it because 10 is 1 and 0. And that is the goal every week, is to be 1-0. And that's something Fred Shaw has put out there on social media all year long. The goal every week is 1-0. We're not worried about what's happened in the past. We're not worried about what's going to happen down the line. It's all about being 1-0.
I like that. I might even do that too, but I would like 1 dash and then 0.
Let's not put symbols on jerseys, please. People are watching right now, and they're seeing my poo-poo face. They're watching on Facebook. They're seeing the stink face. And for those that don't know,
you got to tell the story now. You brought it up. You've got to tell the story.
Yeah, let's not put symbols on jerseys. Yeah, I was about to say, Philip, hopefully you don't get a 1.0 jersey.
1.0.
But everybody that follows our show knows how long I have been asking for a Khalil Rashad jersey. How long I've been saying, sell me this man's jersey, please. Then we had the custom option available before the season, and I was like, here we go. I can finally have a Khalil Rashad jersey. I even reached out to the man and said, I want my jersey to be as official looking as possible. Is the nameplate on your jersey going to read Rashad or Rashad Sr.? Because I believe last season I saw Rashad Sr. and he said, yes, you're right. It was only that way I don't remember if he said it was the home or the away jersey, but that this season it was going to be on both. So I requested my custom Khalil Rashad Sr. jersey with the number 5, and patiently waited, and I was very excited for it. And then I got the phone call. Your jersey will be available at the watch party this week. And I was like, yes, finally. So I ordered one for me, one for Lolis. We get there. Lolis opens hers first. It looks great. Rashad Sr. on the back, number 5, everything good. Then I open mine. Rashad Sr. is good. And for some reason, I have a decimal point nice and big on the back of my jersey so that it says 0.5. And I'm like, why is there a decimal on my jersey? It wasn't on the front. It wasn't on the sleeves. It wasn't on the back. Lolis's, she's got the big smile in the Facebook chat. Lolis's was exactly what we ordered, and I ordered them the same way. And so I was confused as all get out why I had a decimal on my jersey. Comes to turn out, someone saw me sitting a couple tables down, another nice lady, and she comes over and she says, "Oh, I noticed you have a decimal on your jersey." And I said, "Yes, I do." And she said,
Matter of fact,
"Well, that's probably my fault." And I said, "Oh," and I didn't understand, but they have some kind of a Dungeons and Dragons group, her and her husband, that they do, and they run, and it was cool idea. They had dungeons on the back of one dragon on the nameplate and dragons on the other. And then I forget what one jersey number and the other one was 0.5. And it has some significance to their Dungeons and Dragons group.
right.
That's cool. Mix your fandoms all you want. I think that's awesome. But when they were creating our jerseys, obviously, some way, somehow, the printing of the back got the decimal 5 from the other order onto mine. And then someone speculated, well, maybe they meant to put the period after senior, and it somehow ended down. They hit the enter key or something.
Like it fell?
Yeah, and I said nope, because Lolis's was exactly the way it was supposed to be. And there you go, James. He says one was 3 and 0.5 on the other. And so, yeah, I got a 0.5 on my Khalil Rashad jersey, who is number 5. So I was hugely disappointed by this. And
yes, he was.
It's not the Gunslingers' fault, they do this.
And they're gonna fix it. You got it,
and they'll fix it. Hey. They'll fix it. It's just I've been waiting so long for this, and so I was pretty disappointed by it.
Well, speaking of some of our favorite gunslingers, I'm gonna bring them in right now because we got Coach Fred Shaw, and he's got some folks with you. Who you got with you, Coach?
Hello.
I got Coach Rich and your quarterback 1.
All right.
Arvell Nelson.
How you guys doing?
Oh, we're pretty good, man. We're blessed.
So you guys are practicing on a Monday night. That's not usual, is it?
Well, we had a bye week, so we got to get our work in, and that's what we're doing right now. We're just getting started. We just ended the meetings, and we're looking forward to West Texas this week.
So we were just talking about the fact that you guys have been dominant in the NAL so far this season. You're 4-0. You're really kind of running things each of those games. You're getting stronger as the season goes on. But then West Texas, who is an expansion team and has been struggling some, this is a game that for some teams would set up very much like a trap game, where you're on a mountaintop and they're down in the valley, and you could potentially look past them. But we don't have to worry about that with the Gunslingers, right?
No, I wouldn't necessarily worry about it with the Gunslingers. We're very mindful of where we're going. The West Texas team, they come from a league that they've been dominating for years. So there's no reason for us to take them lightly at all. They have some pretty good players. We're not taking them lightly at all. We're taking them for what they are. And coming into this year, they were champions. So we're expecting to see that, and we're going to bring it like we're playing in a championship game.
1-0.
And you're going to see somebody new at quarterback for the West Texas Warbirds. They signed Mitch Kidd. He is a fan control football kind of star. He was actually the MVP in 2022. Fan control football, which is that I think it's a gimmicky kind of indoor league, but the skills are going to translate on some level. How do you prep for a guy like Mitch Kidd that you don't have a whole lot of film on, and what you do have is in a different kind of style of game? How do you guys prep for him?
Well, we just worry about ourselves. It's nobody can beat us but ourselves, and we dominate each week. We're not concerned who's the quarterback. These guys are going to have to come play, and they're going to have to come play hard. So it's nothing going to be easy, and we're going to be ready for whoever's at the quarterback position.
I like it.
Arvell, I know that some folks around the NAL media have given you a little bit of a hard time about one interception per game. I've already heard that story from a couple of different guys in the NAL media. You had a game 2 weeks ago, just before the bye, that was without your interception. Let's do that again, right?
But that's the goal. That's the goal. We don't go into any game expecting to throw an interception. Sometimes,
no.
But we just want to execute what we can execute. We fine tuning the small things, and that's the goal, to execute.
Arvell, you've been around indoor football for a career, and you have been around teams in the NAL. What is it about this team that you are seeing that you are part of this year that looks different than some of the other situations that you've been in?
This team is egoless. Nobody has an ego on this team. No one comes in thinking they're the man or got a big head of any sort. Everybody got one goal. Coach Fred, he stamped that 1-0 goal each week, and that's the goal. No matter what the game is, how it's going throughout the course of the game, everybody still got the same mindset. So that makes this group special. Like I said just previously, we're going to fine-tune the small things and, try to score on every possession.
Excellent. Leo, what you got?
Yeah, so coming this weekend, Coach, what are you as far as getting the players ready for this road trip? I imagine it's you guys are driving up on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
So
bus trip.
Are they kind of pumped up about this whole Texas thing? And I remember at the beginning of the season, the other Texas team, they're talking about how they were going to be, the toast of the state for the NAL. So is there a little bit of extra bulletin board material that these guys are ready?
Zero. We're not concerned with those guys at all. Honestly, we just concerned who's on the schedule. The next game's up, so it's West Texas, and the thing about it, we're just gonna come and just gonna go play hard, and hopefully we come out on top.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was going to ask Arvell, what do you think of the fans here in San Antonio?
I love them. They've been receptive to me. Showed me nothing but love since I've been here. So, I love every fan that come out. Hopefully, next home game we pack that place out 8,000. Put that word out there. We looking for 8,000 next game.
8,000. Let me write that down so I can start.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
And that next game is May 28th in the Freeman Coliseum. You guys are actually going to be back home for most of the games in the back half of this schedule. How does it feel? I mean, you guys go out, you're 4-0, even if you end up being 4-1, which is not going to happen. But you have really taken this front part of your schedule that was a majority of it being on the road and racked up a lot of wins. Now you get to come home here in a couple of weeks and spend some stretches at home. How ready are you guys to be back in your own place with your own fans, not having to take a bus trip or a flight to get to a game?
I'm going to call it honestly a blessing. At the beginning of the year, a lot of people thought we had one of the toughest schedules in the whole league, and I agree. But I also agree that it created a situation where we're sharpening ourselves up. So coming down the home stretch to be able to come home and be able to be here for 7 days of the week, man, it just gives our guys more time to rest and fine-tune things. And, we'll be able to get in our stadium and start doing things in there and enjoying our own building. There's nothing better than being in your home stadium. But, like I say, and Coach said, we're focused on West Texas right now. The home game will be later in life. So we got to take it one step at a time, and we're going to go up there and try to make their house our house.
Ralph Judkins is the voice of the Gunslingers, at least on the broadcast. He has a question about Philip Barnett. How did Philip Barnett end up as the deep snapper? He's been working there, and he's been solid there. How did that end up happening?
He's just a playmaker. First day of camp last year, he was like, yeah, I can snap, deep snap. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, well, let's do it. And he's been there ever since. So he's amazing at it.
But that's a testament
everybody
to how this team think. This team is willing to do whatever it takes to win. So a guy like Phil, who is one of our top receivers, voluntarily said, I want a long snap. So, that's championship DNA.
And let me chime in on that too, because he's so special when it comes to his talent and offering his services to us. It makes it easier for us when it comes to substitutions, because as a snapper, he can't get touched. Mm-hmm. So I would rather him snapping the ball effectively than having to block one of these big guys coming off the edge. So it actually works out for us as a strength.
This year, the NAL put a rule in effect. Last year, we dealt with substitutions. This year, they gave you a lineman that you can shuttle in and out between offense and defense. How has that helped you guys on the coaching side of things to be able to tailor that line to the offensive and defensive line.
I know for me personally, it's beautiful because now we can OS our center and he don't have to go both ways. You know, that preserves energy throughout 4 quarters. So it's a blessing for me.
And these guys just want to be on the field. So we can OS any lineman that we want to, and those guys are going to go out there and bust their tails. So we're really not concerned about the OS or the DS, honestly, because we got players that can play each position.
I love it.
I was going to say, I know that with the NAL last year, that refs kind of interfered with the game in the sense that they would come together and it took a long time to call the penalties or the things. So, what do you feel about the timing of the game? Do you think it's better now with all of that interference?
Yeah, Rich. I really couldn't hear what you said. Can you repeat what you
Oh,
said to me really quick?
Sure. I was just talking about how the refs in the past, they would take a long time to determine like the different calls. And so now it feels like the speed is a little bit faster in the game. Do you feel that also?
I do kind of feel it, but honestly, I think it works out for the better of the league because they give everything faster. That gives us a little bit more time to register what they're saying. And if we want to make any adjustments or we want to challenge a call, that gives us time to really think about it. The longer that they wait, that creates a situation where we can get to the next play. Sometimes you don't want to get to the next play. You want to look up at the screen. You want to see the replay, and you want to make adjustments in case you want to make a challenge.
Yeah, guys. So last week on our show, Philip and I we were discussing this 1-0 mentality week by week, and how that has translated on the field. It's very evident, you know, the way the team is approaching business this season, and you've had a lot of success. Now, some of those wins, as we've heard over and over again over the first few weeks, it's only by 1 point. You know, they've struggled to actually put teams away. But like we've talked before, I know Coach Shaw, we've mentioned before, a win is a win. Doesn't matter if it's by 1 or if it's by 20. The whole goal each and every week is to get that W in the win-loss column. Last week, you guys came away with that win in Fayetteville, and a lot of people were expecting that to be what it was called the game of the week, and they were expecting that to be a big challenge for you guys. And you came away with, score-wise, your most convincing win. But Philip and I, actually talking about it last week, said that might have been the Gunslingers as a whole, maybe weakest. I don't want to say weakest, but not as strong a performance as maybe what we expect from the team. And you still came away with that win in convincing fashion. What was your take on that, guys, moving forward, and also the work you're putting in to kind of tighten some of those things up?
Like Coach always speaks, it's a 1-0 thing. So we were really focused on them and going into their environment. That was a weird environment because of the type of situation that they have in their stadium. But, you know, it was us versus them, and we did let them hang around for a little bit. But, you know, for us to turn that switch on in the fourth quarter and score points and them score none, that was very special to us, for us. And it also gave us things to fine-tune going into the next week. And apparently, going into last week, Fayetteville had the #1 offense in the league, scoring-wise, averaging 50-plus a game. So with us holding them to a little bit of nothing, I'm proud of our guys. Even though we did have a lot to fine-tune, I'm happy that we were able to make it out of there 1-0.
See, I think I know what it was. I think it was the color of the field. It was horrible.
Yeah.
I didn't like that sand color. You know what I mean? If they go
But
with the right color, then I think we have a good game.
Yeah, but those guys, they're playmakers too. They have playmakers on their team. So we wasn't going to walk in their arena and just blow them out, because those guys get paid too as well. And each week is going to be a battle for us. We're 4-0. It's 1-0 each week. These guys are going to come for us. So we prepared for it and we're ready for it. So we'll be okay.
And this week we have the watch party starting at 7 at Alamodome. Now, when we're here in San Antonio, what could we do as fans to help you, I guess, know that we're behind you? Like, if we could find out, like, when maybe you're leaving on the plane or on the bus, maybe we can cheer you on. or even when you guys come back? Is there any way to communicate that with us so maybe we can show you our love?
Well, as of right now, you guys are doing a lovely job of representing the Gunslingers. I wouldn't change anything. The podcast, the watch parties, even the guys that travel with us on the game day. I wouldn't change anything. You guys are doing an amazing job. Keep up the good work. 1-0.
Thank you. 1-0.
Well, Coach, I know that you've got to get back to work. You guys are done with meetings, but I'm sure that's not the end of your day. You got more to prepare for. 1-0 in West Texas. That's the goal. Go out there and show them what Gunslinger football is all about, Coach.
Guns up.
Thank you for everything that you
Guns
do.
up.
Thank you.
We're
Appreciate
behind
it.
you 110%.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Appreciate having you guys on. Excellent. Excellent. I love the coach that Fred Shaw has become. We've talked about this before on the show. It's not a surprise. Early on in Fred Shaw's first season last year, I wasn't sure. I had my misgivings. Man, every time I talk to him lately, whether that's here on the show or offline as we discuss getting ready for the show or just, NAL stuff, I am impressed with the way that he is conducting himself and handling himself. I see some comments out there on social media about him at games and how he trash talks other fans in the stadiums and other teams. Man, he's a passionate guy. He enjoys the game, and he's not going to stand there and let fans trash talk him without turning around and giving them a little something. I'm okay with that. If you're going to start it, be prepared to finish it, and Coach Shaw is prepared to get. Now, if it becomes a distraction to the game, which I don't think he's letting it do that, then it's a problem. But every time we win a game, and part of it is just sour grapes, but every time we've won a game this season, I've seen a post pop up in one of the NAL boards about that coach needs to watch his mouth, or that coach sure gets chippy, or that coach, man, don't start nothing, there won't be nothing, Yeah.
He's doing his job. He's out there battling. He's a former player. He's competitive as anyone can be. And so he's out there doing what he thinks he needs to do to make sure that he's putting his guys in the best situation to win. And sometimes that's getting in the rest faces, and sometimes that's coming a little bit away from the dasher boards, maybe a little bit further than he's supposed to be. But he's out there doing his job. He's not a distraction by any means, like you said, Philip. You could see a lot more confidence in the way he coaches and his presence out there, knowing that he's familiar with the rules, he's familiar with what's going on the field, and when he has an argument to present to the refs, I mean, so far in the ones that have been where he's challenged or there's been discussions, he's been right. So, I don't think anybody should have a problem with that, except, like you said, the ones that sour grapes.
Yeah.
Well, and RC, you brought up this idea of the referees. I think we would be doing a bad job as fans or as media, which we're media in the NAL. The XFL may not think of us that way all the time, but the NAL certainly does. I have a vote in the media poll every year, every week. Leo, you probably would too if you reached out for one there on the Discord. Heck, RC, we can get you tapped into that as well. But we're media here in the NAL. And I have been impressed. I don't remember where I was going with any of that.
Well, my point was,
RC, you were talking about the referees. Yes.
And I don't know if I explained the question accurately, but what I was trying to get is like, what do you feel like the speed, the tone of the game is different because of the refs?
Michael Wayne Davis says it better than I was trying to say it. The ref situation this year has been 1,000 times better than last year. And he's right.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
Yes.
That's what I was trying to say, but like the words weren't coming out. So I apologize.
And that is actually across the board, because I've been watching all of the NAL games, at least part of all of the NAL games, and across the league, the officiating in this league is better this year than it was last year. And that's all you can ask of them, is that they improve and they have improved. I don't know what's different at the league level, but something is, because it is taking place across the leagues. It doesn't mean that they don't miss calls sometimes. That doesn't mean they don't have to gather together. I get so tired of flags on every play, and sometimes it gets that way, but that's true of football. Sometimes you just get into this cycle of flags, and it happens. James Palmer also saying the speed of the games have been a lot better this year. They absolutely have, all the way across the board.
Do you remember that first year when we were in that other league? But I bought those yellow towels because there were so many penalties. We were all just shaking them, So we don't have to do that.
One of my absolute favorite jokes from the AAL days was when I said that they needed to change their logo for the AAL into 4 referees in a huddle, because that's what you saw more than football. Was 4 referees standing in a huddle trying to figure out what was going on. So James Palmer points to something specific that might be helping. They now have a person coming from the league, an extra official that deals with substitutions. That is his whole job, is letting coaches know, letting players know, and tracking the substitutions. And that has helped speed up things on that end a lot, because with this Ironman rule, substitutions becomes a real difficult kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so that has certainly helped.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
I wish I knew a little bit more about the other coach, because I feel like we know Coach Shaw and things that he really wants for us to like promote, like the 1-0 and one game at a time. But the new coach, I wish we'd have talked to him a little bit more just to get more of his perspective and his goals, for the team, being that this is his first year.
Sure.
Or maybe next time.
Yeah, Coach Rich, his first year with the Gunslingers, certainly not first year coaching.
Right.
He's got a lot of experience, and I know, when we talked earlier with Coach Shaw about bringing him on, he was very excited to add him to his coaching staff. So, definitely, Coach Rich is a valuable asset to the team. I wanted to touch on the yellow flags again, attesting to the improvement of the officiating. I know at the home game when we had Greg Nelson actually remembered to bring his as a carryover from last season and had his yellow flag with him, but didn't get a whole lot of opportunity to actually wave that thing and use it. So, I would definitely. I think it's a great tradition for us to bring those things and have our yellow towels to swing around, but we may not need them as much.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about this West Texas game, and let's talk about something that I am really excited about, even though I may not utilize it. I think there are fans out there. One particularly jumps to mind. I don't know if he'll jump in, if he's watching with us right now, or he'll watch later. I know that he watches or listens to almost every show. Alex McSwain was talking the other day about taking a trip out to Odessa.
Mm-hmm.
If you're one of those folks that are like, man, maybe I want to drive out there, but I don't want to drive out there and drive back in the same day. If I could stay out there for a decent price, maybe I would go to the game and support my Gunslingers. The Gunslingers have figured something out for you, have taken care of that. Running along the bottom of the screen right now, and I'll give the information out if you're listening. The Gunslingers are headed out to Odessa. You can now go to. They have secured a block of rooms in the Holiday Inn Express and Suites for $89 a room if you mention the Gunslingers when you call in reserve. $89 for a hotel room is a steal.
Amazing.
I don't know if you tried to book a hotel room lately, but $89 is a thing. That's a heck of a deal. And you can split it with a couple of people.
Oh, sure.
If you want to. And bring that down a little bit. If you want to take a couple of your friends, head out there for the weekend, catch the game, stay overnight, come back on Sunday, just make a weekend out of it. $89, you can get your room. The Holiday Inn Express and Suites is area code 432-362-6800. Tell them that you're with the Gunslingers. You can get in that block of rooms, and you can be a part of that. Look, that is something the Gunslingers set up.
Yep.
That is awesome. That is incredible. But what I think is really interesting about it is so many things that the Gunslingers have done in the past that are great fan stuff is stuff that they're asked about. Hey, could we do something like this? And they go, well, let's look into that. And that was both in the OG3 days when they could. That's also been in this new era of ownership. This is one of the most glaring times to me that ownership has stepped up and put something together and said, hey, we want to just do this for the fans. Nobody was really asking for it, at least not as far as I know. Nobody mentioned this to me until they emailed me today and said, hey, we're doing this. Make sure you guys mention it on the show. But they know that it's close enough that, hey, some fans may want to go out there. Let's see if we can get a block of rooms and give the fans an opportunity to come out. This is a 5-hour drive. It's not something you're going to do in a day. You're not going to drive out there, watch a football game, have a beer, have a couple of beers at the football game in West Texas, and then get in the car and drive back from a game that ends at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, would not recommend it.
Yeah, don't do that. James Palmer said, hey, fans, we're mentioning this at the watch party for April, 2 April. That's great. That's great.
They're listening to us. They're listening.
And James Palmer says, I was one of the ones bringing it up. Great.
Awesome. Yeah, April's great.
So, yeah, like you're saying that's really a tribute to the team, to the people running this thing, the management, to April and Jordan and
April,
everyone,
Jordan, James, all of those guys. Yeah.
They really listen to what the fans have to say. They listen to ideas. They want the fans to be excited and behind the team and to really spread the word. I mean, what was the last time you've heard of a professional sports organization where they actually made arrangements for, fan accommodations if you want to come out on a road trip and watch the game? It doesn't happen. But
I know fan groups do that, but I don't know about teams that are going out there worried about the fans and finding a way to make that happen.
And usually, I mean, the reason why they don't do this is because they've got plenty of things to worry about, plenty of things going on that they're focused on, just to keep the operations going. But they listen to their fans enough that they take extra time to do those things. Like this block of hotels. So yeah, that's a big tribute to these people, to all the people running this organization.
So the Warbirds, right? Is that sort of like the Battlehawks? Can we go caw caw or no?
Let's not start that.
Yeah, no.
Let's not start that. Although the Warbirds do have, I got to give them credit. The Warbirds have, by the way, if you make it out to Odessa, I believe the place they play, the pictures I've seen, they play in an excellent spot. Like they have an excellent venue there in Odessa that they play at. They also have, I'm going to give them credit, they have the best mascot in the NAL right now. They just do. Top Gunner is really, really, really funny. He's funny on social media. If you don't follow him on Twitter. He'll be giving us a hard time here in a couple of days because he does it all the time. Top Gunner is an excellent, both the social media presence that they've developed for Top Gunner and him out at the games. They're just doing it right. Like teams in the NAL need to learn from one another on a lot of different things. That is something that I think every team in the NAL could look at what West Texas is doing with Top Gunner and go, this is how a mascot can interact with fans, not only in the stadium, but on social media. It's great. They're doing a great job with it, and I want to give them their credit because they are really working that Top Gunner thing. It's very cool. I've really enjoyed his social media presence, and I watch him at the games when they'll show him on the screen. By the way, showing him on screen brings up another thing I want to talk about. If you've watched West Texas, if you've watched their broadcasts, they've had 2 home games. The first one was, what's the good way to say this? Absolute trash. It was really, really bad. Like it was really, really bad. It was hard to watch. It was, and Leo, do you remember our very first Gunslingers broadcast that we did?
Oh, I do. Yeah.
The one against North Texas, they're in the San Antonio Rose Palace. We had all kinds of internet issues.
Yep.
We had all kinds of connectivity issues. You go back, that video still exists. I've never pulled it down, and it still exists out there. And you go watch it now, and it's just awful.
Yeah, we had no scoreboard to reference and know what was going on. Yeah,
it happens. And so we know we have been the guys that have put together the trash broadcast. That first one was in that arena from West Texas. Their second home game was better. There was still room to improve. Today, we found out that the West Texas Warbirds have partnered with Concho Sports. Let me make sure I get their name right. And so that's going to take me a second to find. But it is Concho Sports, which is out of San Angelo, not all that far necessarily from West Texas, from Odessa. It is Concho Sports Network. It is Pixelcast Media. They are partnering together with them, starting with this game that we're going to watch on Saturday. They're going to partner with Concho Sports Network and Pixelcast Media to present the game. This is very much like the Gunslingers going from Philip and Leo and Jonas to Texas Sports Productions. And all of the things. It is somebody that does sports broadcasting and streaming that is coming in and partnering with them. So if you're not going out to Odessa and you're going to watch it here in San Antonio, the presentation of the game is going to be a lot better. I'll be really honest with you. After that first game, I was looking at this game going, ugh, that's going to be a rough one to watch. That's going to be hard to watch because we're going to have to watch their feed of it. And I hope they figure it out by then. Looks like they've got it figured out because they're going to partner with some folks that know what they're doing. And it's a learning thing. Like Leo and I and Jonas learned that. We learned a lot in one season, and we put on a much better show the second time, and then the third time it got a little better, and it got better and better. They're doing that too, but they're going to partner with Concho Sports Network. That's exciting. Mm-hmm. If you don't want to watch the game alone, we have watch parties.
Mm-hmm.
As always.
Watch us.
Mm-hmm.
And they are going to be out at Alamo Beer Company again this week. I got some details on that. They'll be outside for the beginning of the game because there is a separate watch party for soccer that will be going on inside. But that game is staggered. It starts earlier. So when that game is over, the Gunslingers can move inside and be a part of things inside and sit in the inside if mosquitoes are getting you or the weather is rough. I don't know what the weather's going to do. Who knows what the weather's going to do right now?
Yeah, who knows? You can't really tell these days. But judging from the last watch party, I would say most people will end up staying outside because it just seemed space-wise, it was a lot better to accommodate the amount of Gunslinger fans there because there were a lot. This was a very well-attended watch party, and I expect this next one is probably going to be much the same. And even the last time, there was some rain coming down, a little bit of drizzle, and that did not deter anybody. Everybody stayed in and hung in there and had a good time. So that's good that the inside will become available, but if we're starting outside, I'd be surprised if a lot of people move indoors unless the weather's like really bad. But good stuff being at Alamo Beer again. I think it's a really nice venue for what we're doing, and everybody seemed to enjoy themselves.
And if anyone was wondering about that watch party, they're called the Crocketeers. The soccer team, Crocketeers.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, they were big fans of the San Antonio Scorpions, I believe, and then they moved over to SAFC when they started playing. They're just a bunch of they are exactly to San Antonio soccer what we would love to create for San Antonio pro football. They're not so worried about what the team is. They just want to enjoy pro soccer in San Antonio, and we feel the same way about football. So they migrated from the Scorpions over to SAFC when that started, is I think how that worked. I know that they were at the Scorpions games that I went to a couple of times back when the Scorpions were a thing. The Crocketeers were there. And that's pretty cool. So they will be there. They'll be inside. Their game is over right around 8:30 from what I understand. And then we would be able to move inside if you want to do that. Of course, if you want to stay outside, do that. And maybe the weather will be nice. Maybe it won't. Who knows? Who can tell?
I know they expected on Saturday to have all this rain. So I think I was the only person that wore water boots. But I had them on just in case because I hate wet feet. I hate it. So it didn't rain.
So let's transition off the field. That is West Texas, the West Texas Warbirds off the field stuff. Go to the game if you want to. They're providing a way for you to have a cheap hotel room that night. If you're not wanting to go to the game and you want to watch it on TV, it's going to be even better than it has been before in West Texas. And if you're wanting to watch it with some friends and get together with a group of people, go to Alamo Beer Company. Starts at 7:30 and enjoy the watch party. Let's transition onto the field for a second. I'll be honest with you. If the Gunslingers don't look past this game, I don't really see any way. They don't end up 5-0. They're too strong. They're too dominant right now. And West Texas, look, Mitch Kidd, is that his name? Did I say his name right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Mitch Kidd is impressive. Mitchie the Kid, that's great. And he's liable to be successful in the NAL, but not in the first game.
Definitely not, and he's not as impressive as Arvell Nelson. So
things have to gel. And look, West Texas is getting better all the time. They brought in Shorts. They brought in some of these guys from the Albany thing that sort of happened a few weeks ago. Now they brought in Mitch Kidd. They're setting up some pieces to have a solid team on the back half of the year, but they're going to have to gel together. And you know what I would point to say that gelling together is very important? If you are an NAL fan, if you've been watching NAL football last week or on Saturday, Sunday, the Orlando Predators, who have not been great this season, but they just gathered a lot of talent from the Albany Exodus, a lot of talent, a lot of really good talent. And they played Carolina. And Carolina has been one of those teams all season that's like, are they good or are they not? Are they a playoff team or are they going to fall just short of being a playoff team? I don't really know what to expect. Tons of people on NAL media sites were picking the Predators because they had these star players from Albany that they had went out and grabbed to win this game. I picked the Cobras because I was like, man, I don't care how many stars you have. If they haven't had time to play together, it's going to be tough. The Cobras drummed the Orlando Predators. They beat them. I mean, beat them bad. It just looked outmatched the whole game. Does that mean Orlando's a bad team? Maybe. No. But more likely than not, they just haven't gelled with talent. So look, I think it's great that West Texas has gotten some of these Albany folks. I think that Mitch Kidd, based on what I've seen of his resume, he's liable to be solid once he spends some time in the NAL, but it's not going to happen in the first game.
No.
Like, it's just not.
Yep.
And Johnny Salazar's right. He says this is a trap game of trap games.
Yes.
I think Fred Shaw said it very importantly. He said the team that can beat us right now is us. We're worried, we're not worried about who we're playing against. We're worried about taking care of our stuff. And that's absolutely right.
Right, which is kind of why I asked that question, because we talked about how we kind of, despite the win in Fayetteville, we kind of sensed a little bit of regression, especially offensively. But as coach were quick to point out, the defense really came up and had an answer for a team that had offensively been very strong prior to that game. So they're kind of going on all cylinders in all three facets of the game: offense, defense, special teams. And if one kind of struggles a little bit, then the other at one of the other units is really picking it up. So yeah, Coach said it absolutely the best. Just like we're the ones that can beat ourselves.
Right.
And if he's got all his guys with the same attitude and mentally on the same page as he is, then they should really go in and have probably their biggest win of the season. But if they're not, then yes, they could absolutely go in there and come away with a shocking loss that would be the talk of the NAL, really. So
it really would.
Hopefully we can avoid that for sure.
Jeremy Knox checking in. He's actually asked this question twice. Sorry, Jeremy. Just getting it back around to it. He says, so out of the two teams left we have not played, who has the best shot to give us an upset? He said, I don't want to see it, but going undefeated and winning the championship is a little crazy. You're right. Look, sure. I think it would be great if the Gunslingers went 12-0 and then walked into the playoffs and won 2 playoff games and hoisted a championship at 14-0. That'd be great. I'd love it. That would be spectacular. Chances of that happening are very slim.
Right.
They're going to lose a game somewhere along the way, right. Most likely. When you ask me of the 2 teams you haven't played yet, which one is likely to upset them? Neither. If they play their game, West Texas and Orlando are not going to beat them. Like those aren't the teams. The teams that are going to beat them are Jacksonville, could beat them. Albany, once they figure out things with Jonathan Bain, which, by the way, that's going to be interesting. Jonathan Bain was slighted coming out of San Antonio a little bit. He has been very professional. Yeah, he's been very professional. He and I have had some conversations over text. He's been very professional, says the right things. I wish nothing but success for San Antonio, but you can read it in between the lines. There's a little bit of I thought I was coming there, and that didn't work out. And so I want to show you made a mistake by not helping me out. So Albany is a team that I can see once they start figuring out. Look, Tom Manas is the best coach in the league. I love Fred Shaw, but Tom Manas has won 2 championships in the last 2 years. He's taken home both championships. It is fair to say that Tom Manas, until somebody knocks him off, is the best coach in the league. Like that's
I don't
fair.
think Coach Shaw would disagree with you, right? Mm-hmm.
So Coach Manas is the best coach in the league. Jonathan Bain is a good quarterback. They have a lot of pieces in place. Even though they lost a lot of really good pieces, they ended up replacing them with other real.
Did he freeze?
Yeah, he froze up.
So I think what he was trying to say was that if Albany can get their gel together with the quarterback and all these new players, maybe there's a chance there. Albany has a good history. The coaching staff, they're all going to make that a good team. You know,
they have the pieces.
Yes, they do have the pieces. Now, if they get them perfectly in place, that's a different story. But could they be one of the teams that could beat us? There's a possibility compared to the other 2 that I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think so. The next time we actually play Albany, that is later. That is June 24th when Albany comes into San Antonio. That is absolutely going to be a huge game.
Huge.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see between now and then how Albany develops. I also think it's going to be interesting to see how Orlando develops, because we all know that they picked up some significant talent after the fallout in Albany and the players that were released. Coaches. Orlando kind of swooped in and took a great amount of that talent. So I don't think they're going to be the same team that we've seen so far up to this point in the season, and they could certainly make some noise once they come back. So to answer the question that was asked by Jeremy, if he was asking specifically between the 2 teams that are left that we haven't played, I would give Orlando the best chance simply because of the infusion of talent that they had and very good talent that they picked up. And to that note, I saw earlier, I think it was Johnny Salazar that was asking, it was James Palmer asking, I was looking at the transaction log. He was asking if West Texas, in order to pick up Mitch Kidd actually dropped the quarterback they had in place? And the answer to that is no. They ended up releasing a couple of guys, a wide receiver, a defensive lineman, and they had another lineman that was placed on IR. So there was 3 spots there available, and they picked up 2 players to fill those 3, which was Mitch Kidd and another wide receiver, Richie Anderson. So no, they still have the other quarterback on the roster that won them the game when they played Albany last week.
Johnny Salazar checking in on Facebook says, don't discount Carolina. They've been impressive of late, and their running game with Zach Brown is pretty heavy. Their running game with Zach Brown is incredible. They dominated the line of scrimmage against Orlando in a way that I don't see very often in arena football. They are a lot better team than a lot of people gave them credit. They are giving them credit for. Carolina is a team to be reckoned with. And so you're right. They are absolutely another one of those teams that could beat the Gunslingers at some point this season. But unless the Gunslingers just really beat themselves, they're gonna drop 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 games in this back half of the season. But even that, they have set themselves up in such a good position right now that I don't want to look ahead and say we're going to be in the playoffs, but we're going to be in the
realistically,
playoffs.
Look, I think we all agree. If the Gunslingers are playing their best game, there isn't a team in the NAL that's going to have a easy time beating them. They're going to really, really have to be at the top of their game to even hope to get a win. If the Gunslingers are playing their best game, they're going to be extremely difficult to beat for any other team in the NAL.
What do you got, RC?
I just wanted to say, I know Johnny Salazar had some health issues, and it was really great to see him at the last watch party.
Oh, yeah.
So I just want you to know that we're behind you. We're saying prayers for continued health. And I just wanted to say that, knowing that it's great that we had that personal connection with our listeners and with our fans, that
Absolutely.
I can say that, and a lot of podcasters, they talk and they're talking more about themselves, but they don't have that connection. And I think that's what's so special about all of us on this podcast, that each one of us has our own connection with our fans. So just like I said, prayers for you, Johnny, for continued health.
Absolutely. Get well soon or get better. That's the thing that I've started saying to everybody is get better. Because nobody is where they want to be right now. Like nobody physically, mentally, spiritually is better. We should all be concentrating on just getting better. And maybe that looks like something different for Johnny than it does for me or Leo or RC. Johnny, get better. That's what I want to see for everybody. We love you, man. So that's West Texas Warbirds. It is what it is. Go to the game if you can. If you can't, come to the watch party. If not, enjoy the game at home on Conto Sports Network. But we've talked a lot about games everywhere else in the world. Let's talk for a few minutes about the next game here in San Antonio, because in less than 2 weeks, the Gunslingers are finally back home. They're back in the Freeman Coliseum. They take on the Jacksonville Sharks on the 28th. That's a Sunday at 3 p.m. They're going to take on the Jacksonville Sharks with Sam Castronova at quarterback, a guy that we've seen once this season, but he was with Albany. It is Military Appreciation Day.
Yes.
Which is awesome.
Love that.
They are giving out patriotic themed hats. Have you guys seen the picture of that yet?
I haven't. Do you have one? Do you have a picture?
Let's see it.
Let me pull it up real quick.
Okay.
It's kind of buried in the post. They've had the picture out for about a week, getting ready for the game. But let me pull it up here real quick.
And to clarify, do only veterans or military get the hat, or anyone can get a hat?
No. What it says is here. I've almost got it. Give me just a second, and I'll have it here for everybody to see. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, you can see it now. There it is. It's right down here in the corner. Free Gunslingers patriotic hat. It is here. I'll even zoom in on the hat specifically. There we go.
Well, there's number
there you
5
go.
and there's no decimal.
No decimal on his jersey there, Leo.
Nope, no decimal on Kylie Rashad's jersey.
So if you're listening to us and you're like, I want to see, go online to the San Antonio Gunslingers Facebook page. It's probably also on their website. They've got a graphic out. It is a white hat. It looks like it's a trucker style cap with the mesh back, and it's got the Gunslingers logo on the front with 2 American flags crossed behind him. But instead of his traditional cowboy hat, he is wearing the Uncle Sam stovepipe kind of hat. The first 500 folks in the arena will get a free patriotic Gunslingers hat. That's pretty cool.
I love it.
That is very cool. I do want to caution fans, though, to just set expectations, because this is what happened with the first 500 promotion they did in the first home game with the medals.
Good point.
They did first 500. However, it was 1 per family. So you can't show up with a family of 7 and expect to get 7 tickets to receive the hats, or 7 hats. I'm pretty sure they'll be giving tickets, and then you go to the merch booth, similar to the way they've done it before. But if you're going with a group of people, maybe you're going with a friend, you want to make sure that you designate that you're not that you are
hang
not.
Hang in there, Jimmy.
family.
We're going to talk about your Renegades in just
coming.
a minute, okay? James Palmer said, hey, his whole family got medals at the game. I was told not kids. All right,
They told me different when I went through the doors and we asked about that. They said 1 per family and gave us 1 ticket. So I guess it depends on who you meet at the door giving you the ticket then.
That's true.
right? But there's even more information, and we get to debut something on the show. You get to see it first here. And if you're not watching, if you are listening online, you have to go back. Look at your little time code now, and then go to one of our social medias and watch the video, because we can't show you this on the podcast. We can only show it to you on video. But as you know, the Gunslingers have loved creating specialized jerseys for each special night that they've had over the past year. And this is no different. For military appreciation, they have two different jersey variants that they will have at the merch stand for the San Antonio Gunslingers. Anybody want to see what they look like? I got them.
I do.
Yep.
So here you go. The first one is a military style jersey. It is in the green, kind of the olive green. No, wait, Mo. You have to wait. I finally have something. I have to slowly put it out there.
You got to do a drum roll or something.
Yeah, where's the drum roll?
All right, so here is your first. Here's the military themed San Antonio Gunslingers jersey.
I love it.
It has the military men standing on the bottom hem. It has the 2 fighter jets and the destroyer, as well as a helicopter hanging out there underneath the logo. It's got a couple of bullet holes in it. And then along the back, it says, "We salute you with the 76, as in 1776. And then it has the medallions of all 6 branches of the military. Yes, 6. Space Force is there too. So all 6 of the medallions are there. So that is the military theme. Michael Wayne says, how much? What do they normally run? I think they normally do them for 50, like 49 or 50, right?
It was somewhere around that. I'm trying to remember my brain. I'm racking my brain right now to remember what the jerseys were at the last game. Maybe 45.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I think it was 45.
Right, 45 sounds right, but
yeah,
I don't know.
That is really good looking, though. I like that.
But I'm going to be really honest with you. Bring $100 because I'm fixing to show you another one that I think is even. I'm fixing to show you one that I think is even better. You ready? You ready?
Yeah.
You ready? You ready?
Come on.
Yep. Jordan Stubing, by the way. No, Jordan Stubing, by the way, says, yeah, $45.
You're not right. Yeah.
My brain does work sometimes.
Here you go. Here you go. Boom.
Ooh, I love it.
Nice.
I love it. I like it.
The patriotic themed jersey that they are rolling out this year for military appreciation is a flag inspired design on the back. It has "We the People" up on the shoulder blades, up on the nameplate area, and then the 76 with a Liberty. So you know what? Just bring $100 because you want them both. Let's be real honest. You're going to need both of these jerseys, right?
And
I love this.
This would be
They're
great
awesome.
for 4th of July.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. I love this. Michael Wayne Davis is going to have a heart attack here. He's like, what? Really, really good looking. Great stuff that they're doing out there. And you got to see it here first. Hey, that went so well. Jordan, I know you're watching right now. We should always preview this stuff.
Yes,
here.
that would be awesome.
Michael Wayne Davis says cowbell. Yes, I believe they will be doing the bell promotion again. They have the bigger bells this year. You can see here. Let me get rid of the jersey. I know that you guys are loving looking at it, but look, they have these bells, noisemakers that they've been selling at the watch party. I would imagine they will have it there at the game as well. Those suckers are loud.
Yes, these are the loud cowbells and they said they will be having these available at games. So
And
Jordan Stubing answering the question that both Leo and I have. A, they're limited edition. B, they do have big boy sizes.
Nice.
That's important. That's very important.
Yes, it is.
I was just going to add that when we went to the game on Saturday at the Alamodome, one of my friends, her cowbell got confiscated. That will never happen at Joe Freedom. You will never get your cowbell confiscated.
Well, we certainly hope not. Johnny Salazar says, excellent job on the jerseys. That is Jordan. Jordan is the one that puts those together. He gets very excited when he goes to roll them out. He sends them to me fairly often. Sometimes he'll let me share them. Sometimes he won't. But he sends them to me because he gets like I get when he does something design worthy. And he's like, I have to show this to people. This is awesome. And I do exactly the same thing when I design anything graphics wise. I immediately have to show it off. Lolise wants to know, is it available in a 0.5?
No. That again, that was not the mistake of the Gunslingers and Jordan and the guys doing these jerseys. This was somewhere in the ordering process by the company that they contract out for those personalized jerseys before the season. But yeah, thanks for rubbing it in, Lolis.
Make your plans now. That is May 28th. The game starts at 3 p.m. Jordan, since we have you on, there was some question earlier about hats. The first 500 get the new patriotic hat. Is that the first 500 families or the first 500 people through the door? Because there was an issue with the medals. If you could give us that answer, that would sure help. Because that's been a little bit of a discussion. I don't know if you heard that or not. So make your plans to attend Military Appreciation Night, Military Appreciation Day game against the Jacksonville Sharks. They're going to need you. They're going to need you to take on the Sharks, and they're back. They're home, and that's huge. That actually will kick off. He says if you bought a ticket, you get a voucher. So there you go. That's the information we have directly from the source. It's going to be so nice. That is one of 4 straight home games. They play May 28th, June 4th, June 17th, and June 24th. All right in a row here in Freeman. We get to see our Gunslingers here at home.
They've been the road warriors to start the season. We finally
They really have.
Yeah.
They really have.
We finally
and hopefully
I was saying we finally get to fill up the Coliseum and be loud and rowdy for the home team. But you were going to say,
any luck, they're going to come into the Freeman Coliseum for 4 straight home games at 5-0.
Yes.
Wow.
That's a little different than last year.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Bit.
Oh yeah.
When we got to the back half of the season last year, it was a little different. By the way, all military get 50% off through VetTix or at the box office. So if you are military in the San Antonio area, and I would guess that is active duty and retired military, but correct me if I'm wrong, Jordan, on that. Veterans and active duty, I think, get 50% off through VetTix. Well, it's VetTix, so yes, veterans would be eligible for that as well.
So going back to what Coach said, he said he wants 8,000. So I think our slogan should be 8 on the 28th. 8 on the 28th. 8,000 people. We could do it on the 28th.
Or 8. I mean, if we can get 8 people in the no,
come on now. We're gonna get more than 8 people.
800. No, 8,000 would be great. 8,000 would be great.
On the 28th. I like it.
Tell your friends, tell your family, get them in the dome. It's a great way to watch football and stay cool because it's 72 degrees in not the dome, the arena in the Coliseum. Jimmy Hanna is just all over the place here. He wants to talk about his Renegades. He wants to talk about his Frisco Fighters. The Fighters are 7-0 right now in the IFL, and they're doing incredible because football in Texas is just different. It just hits different. And Frisco's doing a great job in the IFL. The San Antonio Gunslingers in the NAL are doing nearly the same thing. So, speaking of Jimmy Hanna's Arlington Renegade, let's transition now. Let's start talking about the XFL Championship game in San Antonio this week. It was a good time. I got to make it for the game. Yeah. I made it like 10 minutes before kickoff. I got into the press box. I had a wedding that afternoon. I did the wedding. I took the pictures because as the pastor, you have to stage some pictures. And then I was like, okay, see you guys later. Gotta go. And I drove from Palacios to San Antonio and made it just in time for kickoff. I know that you guys were there and enjoyed. How did the tailgate go? Was it pretty traditional tailgating?
Not traditional, but it was a lot of fun. And the fact that we had a lot of representation, and not just for the two teams involved, we had representations of fan base from every single team in the XFL. We were short the Vegas Vipers for a good portion of the tailgate, and then one guy comes walking up into parking lot B from the street, and he comes walking up and he's wearing a Vegas Viper shirt, and there was just this unanimous loud cheer because it was like, there he is. There's the Vegas guy we were hoping for. We have a Vegas Viper fan in the house, and we have.
But according to Dirty, he was not a Vegas Vipers fan. He was a Viper fan, but he was from San Diego, I believe.
Yes, he lives in San Diego, and the Vegas Vipers are the nearest XFL team to him. So he makes the trip over there. And then we had one guy from Orlando Guardians who was there much earlier. So the question was, is anyone from Vegas going to show up? And then he finished the circle. He completed the circle.
Nice.
Sure. Now, Friday night before the game, you guys had the super podcast with Amanda and Dirty, the guys from Horns Forward. One of the guys from Standing Guard, I think is what the Guardians podcast is called. Texans Talking Football, which is kind of related to Horns Forward, was there. Who else? Who am I missing? RC, you were there. Neither Leo and I could make it.
Yeah, it was great. So we got there early, and we were going to be in the conference room, but that took us away from the fans. And even though they had karaoke, and that was one of the issues, because they had karaoke, we thought it would be too loud and you wouldn't be able to hear us on the podcast. Well, Dirty would have none of that. He's like, let's find a place. So we were looking around and we found like a little nook, and there we go, moving all our stuff. And it turned out really, really great. We were able to get some fans that were there from all over, from DC, from Arlington. They were just not gunslingers. There were some Gunslinger fans, but there were also some Brahma fans. I mean, literally everybody was there. We had such a good time. Just the atmosphere. Everyone said we were very welcoming. We actually did some karaoke. I saw Fran from the XFL. He does some of the media,
Yes.
and he
Yeah.
he got up there. We sang Neil Diamond's "Coming to America." So I'm not the best singer, but it was a lot of fun. Teaching some people how to dance the salsa. I mean, you could not ask for a better event. I think Dirty was really happy. Amanda was really happy. Daddy Ed was there. I mean, everybody was just high fiving each other, so excited for the next game. And everyone just said literally that they didn't realize how welcoming we would be, especially because we weren't in the championship game. But man, it was a blast. It really was.
I think San Antonio really, the Brahmas fans, the XFL fans here in San Antonio really proved why San Antonio was chosen for this event, for this first championship game as a neutral site. Look, it could have been our Brahmas in it, but it wasn't.
Mhm.
And that didn't matter. We had
it mattered, but
there were 22,000 people there, and you're right. As you looked around the stadium, you could see pockets of yellow and black. You could see pockets of green for the Guardians. You saw people up on the jumbotron with all of the different colors of the teams. It really was a celebration of the XFL as a whole, not just these two teams that came to battle in this game, or the home team, the San Antonio Brahmas. What is this? Except for one hater in the Brahmas group, everybody was great. There's always the one guy, Jimmy. You're usually the one guy. When we get talking about anything but your Renegades, you're the one guy.
Yeah.
But
the
Jimmy's
podcast
great.
was epic. Podcast was epic. Now the next day was even better. So during the tailgating, the Brahma Mamas had passed out carnations, and so we also passed out carnations to the moms. We passed out little ducks for the kids. Every mom got a little bag of candy, and the kids got candy. And so during the tailgate, I would say I was more Brahma Mama. But as soon as we walked into or getting ready to walk into the dome, I switched hats, and I was all just XFL. So really, it was really a combination. And there were people tailgating that said that they would even consider moving to San Antonio because it was so nice. That they loved the Riverwalk. They loved that it was clean. I don't know where they were looking at, but they said it was clean. Everybody was friendly. Everybody was welcoming. So we may not have all of the fans, but we did get some San Antonio fans. And I
Sure.
think they'll come back. The big question was, where do you think the next championship game is going to be? And a lot of people said St. Louis. I don't know if that's true or not. I said we did a great job. Come back again.
I think the thing that makes the most sense for the XFL is St. Louis. I've said that for a while now, but I've been told by folks in the know that that's not really what they're considering in the XFL. They don't know any more than I do, I don't think, but they are right a lot of the time. And I'm talking about Dirty, and I'm talking about the mayor. They're the ones that have reached out and kind of said, I don't know that they're looking at St. Louis at being a destination for the championship game. The issue with St. Louis is they are not, what's the best way to say this? You're not going to have the same welcoming atmosphere in St. Louis. Based on what I hear from folks from St. Louis, like Dirty, the fans there are not going to be as welcoming. So I think there might be a real possibility that The Rock and Danny and Cardinal Investments kind of looks at it and goes, "Man, that worked out great. Why don't we just do it there again?"
We did well. We
well,
were great ambassadors.
It's a you have to be concerned when it's your championship game. It's a huge deal for your league, and you don't want weather to be a factor.
No.
So there's only two domes, right?
Right.
Two domes in that are used in the XFL, and that's the Alamodome here in San Antonio and the dome up in St. Louis. So if that's something they're considering and they're talking about the welcoming nature of the city and its people and things not being so much so in St. Louis, then it makes a lot of sense to just have it in San Antonio. It also makes a lot of sense to have it in San Antonio as long as they continue having the hub in Arlington.
Right.
Because it's less travel for both teams. So there's less strain on that. Just logistically, it's easier.
And I think you can take Arlington out of the running. Like I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, I think they'll do it in Arlington next year." It's not a great stadium. Like it's just not a great place for the game.
Not a great place for football. No,
it is what it is, and they use it, and it's fine. But it's a baseball stadium, like it is. And for the same reason, Cashman won't work. So you can kind of lift those two out to me. So you're talking Houston, you're talking Orlando, you're talking Seattle, or one of the two domes. The problem with Houston, Orlando, and Seattle is in the spring, in all three of those areas, you are taking a big gamble on the weather. Because you guys have seen what May's been like here in Texas. Can you imagine playing that game outside last Saturday night when there are thunderstorms in the area? Yeah. Like I drove into Palacios, which is not all that far from Houston, and it rained the whole night here on the coast. They don't want to deal with that. They don't want to take a chance on that. So I think Leo's right. You're really looking at two domes as your best option. And if St. Louis is not going to be as welcoming, it is in downtown St. Louis. It can be a rough area from what I hear from time to time. Maybe they just look at it and they go, no, San Antonio is our best option. Or do they take it to a completely neutral site? Now, this is interesting. Would they grab an NFL stadium and say, hey, we're going to have it in Arlington, but not at Choctaw. We're going to have it at AT&T Stadium.
I don't like that idea.
Oh, I think that's a great idea.
I know, but I'm looking at the audience. I mean, and the attendance. I mean, we had 22, and it looked full. In the beginning, I was a little disappointed, but they were trickling in. But if you have a bigger stadium, how are those stands going to look?
It's the lower level, just the same way we did it in the Alamodome. I don't think you can. It's spring football. The idea of selling out 100,000 seat stadium is not going to happen. Like that. That's not really reasonable. I don't even think you could give away the tickets and get 100,000 people into AT&T. So you just do the lower bowl like they did there in the Alamodome, and I think it works. But that would be another way to go. But I think it's very possible that next year they come around and they say, no, it worked out great in San Antonio. That is a great place for us to play. A lot of people like to crap all over the Alamodome all the time, and I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, as Philip was saying, I think he's having some technical difficulties, so I think he'll be back with us here just shortly. But what he was about to say is, we've heard some flack about the Alamodome. There's been some talk about how the Alamodome is suited for football, but that talk is from the NFL snobs, the fans that are football snobs, where it's NFL or nothing, because the Alamodome was originally built with the hopes of luring the NFL, but that was decades ago. And honestly, the standard for NFL stadiums is a lot higher now, and the Alamodome does not qualify. But that does not mean it's not a good place to watch football. And anyone who says that it isn't probably hasn't been there for a game, I would say.
That's true.
I think it's a better than average venue. It's very nice. They're also going to be doing a lot of updates here coming within the next year. That was publicized in the news here.
Plus, we have good conditions for tailgating, where other stadiums don't. Like
the parking lots are ideal for getting together and having those large gatherings and the tailgating. And the fans, the fans are the fans of San Antonio. We're welcoming people here. We love to share food and drinks and everything and music and have a good time. And you don't necessarily have to be rooting for the same team that we are. We just like to have a good time while we're out there. So, we've had people come down from St. Louis. We had Dirty and we had Amanda and Ed come down, and several Battlehawks fans that were here for the XFL Championship game. And they all said they love San Antonio. They love the Alamodome. They thought it was a great place. It gets loud in there. Acoustically, it's very good. It's ideal if you want to have a stadium where maybe you're only doing the lower bowl, but on TV it sounds like it's very loud. It's just a great setup. So I was just finishing your thought, Philip, as people were saying that I see that you're back now, that they've knocked the Alamodome in the past, and I attribute that to NFL snobs.
Yeah, I mean it is, and I got a buddy that I'll send a message to from time to time that does media with me or has done media with me in the past at high school stadiums, and I'll say, hey, I'm working in the Alamodome, and he's like, oh, I'd rather be at a high school stadium, and I'm like, man, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Like, it's dated, and I get that, and it's not the prettiest thing to look at from the outside, and I get that too, but inside playing football in the Alamodome, it's a great experience. It's a great experience for UTSA football. It was great for Commanders football. It's been great for Brahmas football, and it's a great place to hold the XFL Championship game. Let's talk a little bit about the XFL Championship game. Who's surprised?
Not me. I called it.
Who's surprised? Arlington. Go ahead, Leo.
I'm going to be honest, because we talked a little bit about it with Dirty on his show, and he put us on the spot and said, pick a team. And I said, well, if I'm betting on a team, then I'd have to go DC, because I felt like they were the favorite for a reason.
Sure.
And logically, from what we had seen, they were the team to pick. So I'm not going to say I wasn't surprised, but Arlington had been rolling towards the end of the season. They picked up Luis Perez towards the end, and Perez had, totally changed the dynamic of that offense. And I think they proved it in that game. They just showed it was just more progression, and DC wasn't ready for what they were facing offensively. I think they were surprised what they were facing defensively in the first half, because they really got shut down up until the very end of that first half. And I don't think anyone was expecting that.
I am not taking anything away from Arlington. They won the game. They played the game the way it's supposed to be played. They jumped on DC quick, but I am thoroughly convinced after a full season of watching the DC Defenders that there are times that they phoned in their effort. I think they did it against Orlando. I think they did it the first time against Arlington. I think they did it to the San Antonio Brahmas, and I think they did it in the championship game. All four of those games were games that, based on their record and the tools they had, they should have won. And they won 2 of those games, 3 of those games. But 2 of them went to overtime, or almost went to overtime. Like, they played down to their opponent in a way that a 9-1 team never should. I'm not taking anything away from Arlington. Arlington did exactly what they had to do. They went in, they put it to DC immediately. First drive down the field, they looked like they were there to play. And then their defense took the field and held them to a 3 and out. And at that point, I was like, oh, DC wasn't ready for this. They weren't ready for this. By the end of the first quarter, I knew Arlington was going to win this game. It was just clear to me that DC just thought they were going to walk into the building, they were going to play a football game, and they were going to hoist a trophy. And that's the way things were going to be. And that's not what happened.
I'll agree with you. I think they felt very confident coming into that game. I don't think they were not ready in the sense that they looked past Arlington. I do believe they were confident, but I think they weren't expecting Arlington to be as good as they were, because Arlington has, over the last 3 or 4 games of the season, they're not the same team they were just 3 games, prior to that. They have progressed each and every week, and we're just getting stronger and stronger. So they didn't know what to expect, because it was an unknown quantity coming into the game. I think no one expected Arlington to be this good, this quick, after they kind of hit their stride. And you got to hand it to them on that. And Luis Perez was absolutely the firecracker in that, the initiator.
Yeah. So congratulations to Luis Perez. He has won the MVP. of the championship game. Congratulations.
Well
It is
deserved.
also, believe it or not, his first professional championship trophy. His first
Awesome.
professional game. He has played in every spring league, but they have either not had a championship game, which happened in the AAF and XFL 2.0, or he was not on the team that hoisted the trophy with the New York Generals, New Jersey Generals, whatever it was. So this is his first opportunity to win a championship. Now, here's an interesting question for you, Leo, because Dirty and I were talking about this in the press box. And Dirty said, he's going to be playing on Sundays next year.
I think so.
I don't think so. I think that ship has probably sailed for Luis Perez.
I think
he is what he is, and he'll be a great spring quarterback, and he'll have a career for the next few years going forward in spring ball as long as he wants to. But I just don't know that any NFL team at this point is going to look at his body of work and say, yeah, we need him as our backup, or we need him as our starter. This isn't PJ Walker. This isn't Garrett Gilbert. This is Luis Perez. Everybody's had their look at him, and they've said no. Mm-hmm. So I think that's probably going to be the case for him going forward.
I think a lot of the players, for him especially, he could either stay in this league and shine, or go maybe get called up and sit on the bench. So I think he has to decide: do I really want to play and show my talent and my skills, or do I take the chance, maybe go get called up with the NFL and maybe not play as well? I think if he had that choice, he would stay here and shine.
No way. There is no guy anywhere that would take a starting position in a spring football league over a backup position. AJ McCarron aside, I realize that people are fixing to bang on me and go, AJ McCarron did it. That's the exception that proves the rule. For the most part, you get a chance to, it's math. The guys that make NFL money versus the guys that make XFL money, even as a star in the XFL league, it's nowhere close. You can take care of your family on a different level playing, being a backup or a practice team guy in the NFL in a way that you can't do in the XFL. So I don't think that's true. I could be wrong, because you're right. AJ McCarron does it, but I don't think so.
Money talks. And there's a lot more money to be made in the NFL than the XFL. And plus, these guys are competitors, and Luis Perez is very competitive. So I would agree with Philip on that one, on that standing, that he would not, if the opportunity is there, I don't see him choosing XFL over NFL. But I disagree with Philip on the point that we've seen what Perez is, and the NFL probably has no interest in him. Like Robert Rankin says, if Cohen got a few looks, why not Perez?
Exactly.
And then Danucci, but Perez's situation, I think, is also unique in the sense that he's still learning the game. We got to remember he wasn't playing football for most of his young life the way most of the guys at this level were. He didn't pick this up until he was into college and learned the game. They even referenced it in XFL because he famously, back in the AAF when we talked about him, learned the game on YouTube.
Video.
He did not have any kind of training or coaching getting into college, and was able to work his way up to eventually become the starter on his team, and went and won a Division II championship. And now he's won a professional championship. He had some previous looks in the NFL, and didn't make a roster. And he's kind of bounced around these spring football leagues a little bit, but like you mentioned earlier, the AF pulled the rug out from under him. Same thing with XFL 2.0. The USFL, didn't get his opportunity there. He got to play, and now he's got a chance here. Ended up in a bad situation in Las Vegas that obviously didn't work for him. Gets traded, and then all of a sudden, totally changes a team around that and upsets. Largely recognized as the toughest teams in the XFL to win a championship. And I think a lot can be said as far as his progression in that time, in a short period of time. I saw him out there making plays that I would not expected him to make in the past. I saw him making completing balls with guys in his face and able to get the pass away and hit the open man as he's running his route, and it was perfectly accurate. I think he's made tremendous strides in his game, and I think some NFL team is going to give him a look, and I do think he has the capability of being a very good quality backup in the NFL.
So let me clarify my position. I don't think Luis Perez has a future in the NFL. I'm sticking to that. But I want to make it clear, I do not think that's because of Luis Perez. I think he has done or showed everything he can and should get the opportunity. But when you just look at the way NFL decision makers make decisions, they have now seen 3 teams in 4 different opportunities bring him up, try him out at camp or in training camp, and cut him. Rams have done it twice. The Eagles did it. One other team has brought him in. And the NFL decision makers do not take risks. They just don't. And when they look at a guy who's had 4 chances, right chances or not, I believe that the NFL decision-making machine will go, I'd rather take my chance on this guy coming out of college as an undrafted free agent and hope I can hit on him than a guy that's gotten 4 looks and been told no 4 times and sent back down. I truly believe that that ship has probably sailed for Luis Perez, but it's not Luis Perez's fault. He's done everything he could. He is getting better. You're absolutely right. Everything you just said, Leo, is 100% correct. He's still learning the game. He's getting better all the time. But just the thing that is broken here is not Luis. It is the NFL decision-making machine. And I just don't think... Michael Wayne Davis says they did it with Kurt Warner. No, they didn't. Kurt Warner did not have the kind of back and forth into the NFL. He came up through arena football. The Rams gave him an opportunity. He squeaked on as a backup, was never supposed to see the field. And then Trent Green went down with a horrible injury. And Jimmy Hanna brings up a great point. Kurt was a unique kind of guy, but Luis Perez is also a unique kind of guy.
Yeah,
Let's recognize the game. Again, this is not a slight on Luis. I really like him. I would love to see him be successful in the NFL, but I just feel like the way the NFL decision-making mentality, this hive mentality in the way they make decisions, these guys that are general managers do not take chances. And then when they've seen a guy that's been told no 4 times, they just go, we can go somewhere else. We can reach out to this undrafted free agent over here.
Well, I would love to have him as a special guest on our show. So
I think that'd be great.
That would be great.
Awesome.
So if anyone knows personally, Luis, let him know that we would love to have him on the podcast.
So Jimmy Hanna brings up a great guy, Baker Mayfield. Luis Perez is better than Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield will have more opportunities in the NFL than Luis Perez does. And that is what I mean by the decision-making machine in the NFL is broken, because Baker Mayfield is not the quarterback that Luis Perez is, and he won't get the same opportunity. How crazy is that?
That is crazy.
It's really kind of ridiculous.
I'm holding out hope that he does. I still think he will.
I'd love to see it. I really would. We are seeing some of these guys that got rookie minicamp invitations, signing on with teams. I know I saw Luke Barku, your guy, 2 of your guys coming out of the XFL. Both Ben DiNucci signed a contract with the Denver Broncos, as well as Jaquez Patrick.
Yep.
Both of them are Broncos at this time. Does that mean that they will get all the way through camp and be on the 53-man roster when the NFL kicks off next year? They got as good a chance as a lot of other guys right now.
Right,
they've got to make the best of that.
Yep.
You're right, Robert Rankin. You're absolutely right. What about Josh Johnson? He played with everyone. He established himself as an NFL quarterback, barely, but as an NFL quarterback before spring football became one of those things that popped up everywhere. And then he bounced back and forth to the spring league. But that's exactly another way that this is just broken, because anytime a team in the NFL needs a backup quarterback, they go grab Josh Johnson. They don't take a chance on Luis Perez, or they don't go grab, a guy that has performed really well, a Garrett Gilbert. They go pick up Josh Johnson again. Like we just saw it happen last year. I don't even remember what team it was. He's played for like 17 teams in the NFL.
The Niners.
Because it was the Niners. They just keep going to him. Instead of going out here and going, hey, here's, Kyle Sloter played really well in USFL last year. We need somebody. Let's go get him. They go get Josh Johnson.
Well, Sloter was the guy that was under center for a while before Luis Perez came, and Arlington was not the team that they wore once Luis Perez came back.
No, for sure.
And Sloter was a guy that a lot of teams were interested in and intrigued by. So I hope you're right. I disagree with you. Yeah, I think he's going to get a call.
I really hope you're right. I just don't see it. I think that the opportunities have been there, and for whatever reason didn't work out. But hey, he's in the conversation, and that's what this is all about. Because without spring football, he wouldn't even be in the conversation. And so the fact that he has the ability to maybe make an opportunity for himself is exactly what this is created for. That's what the XFL exists for, is for creating that opportunity.
This is the first time that we all agree. I'm just kidding. We all have our own opinions on it.
Yeah, an opportunity, like Johnny Salazar said, practice squad is an opportunity.
Sure.
I think Danucci has a really strong chance at making the Denver Broncos practice squad. I don't know that he'll be their number 2 quarterback, and I don't see them keeping 3 quarterbacks on the roster, but he could will certainly probably take some strong consideration as a practice squad spot on the Denver Broncos. Right. Now, Jacquez Patrick has a really good chance of making the football team, I believe.
Yeah, sure does. And running backs, look, if I were an NFL general manager, I would be combing this league. Abram Smith would be the very first phone call that I made on Monday morning once all of the weekend was over with the championship game. Like, I'd be like, I want that guy. I want that guy in camp. I want him on contract. I want to see if we can make that guy work, because running backs you just churn through them so fast that a guy like Abram Smith, Jacquez Patrick, even Kalen Ballage. I know he got injured, but those kind of guys that have fresh legs, give me. I need those guys. There's some folks right now. I don't want to talk about it. It's an NFL story. Never mind. People are going nuts about the Cowboys trying to get Dalvin Cook, who just got released by the Vikings. And I'm like, why? We have Tony Pollard. We have Deuce Vaughn. That's a perfectly solid running back tandem right there. I don't need to spend extra money on a broken down Dalvin Cook. He's done. That's the way running backs work in the NFL. I'm not spending money on that guy. Anyway, I said I wasn't going to say it. I'm not going to say it.
And I also wanted to extend that invite to any of the Renegade players if they want to come on the show, not just Luis Perez.
Absolutely.
They can more than welcome to come on. We would love to have you. By the way,
speaking of which,
what? Who's on here?
Speaking of which, Brian Folkert came on last week.
Yep.
We talked to him. We had a great time. But right after he jumped off of the feed where everybody saw him, he hung out in our little backstage area and listened to us as we talked about our picks. And I picked DC. I said, I want to go with Arlington. He's convinced me, but I'm just going to have to go with DC. I went and found him after the game on the field. I walked up and I go, hey, Brian, it's Philip from the Smokin Gunz Podcast. And he goes, hey, man, what's up? Did we make a believer out of you yet?
Ouch.
He remembered.
Yeah,
he remembered that.
And we had a great time.
Nice enough to come on our show, and you made him mad, Philip.
He took a picture with me. We laughed and chatted about it, but he remembered.
Oh, yeah.
He absolutely remembered. But yeah, any of those guys that were part of the championship team, we would love to talk to them.
And then also, do you know what the viewing attendance was? I know we had 22 in the stadium, but how many viewers did we actually have? Anybody
I haven't seen those numbers yet.
Well, I know that I saw on XFL Center there was over 1 million viewers at 8 p.m. Eastern time, which is 7 hours. So while the game was starting, they said that we had 1 million viewers. So I think that's amazing because that only shows that we had people there in the stadium, but people are watching all across.
Jimmy Hanna says 1.2 million people watching. Yep. It was on ABC. It wasn't a great time slot. Everything was built kind of to have a solid viewership, and it's a championship game. So there are certain people that are like, I hadn't watched any of this all year, but I am going to check this out and see. But a good number.
A good number.
I'm ready for season 2 already. Like I'm excited about the NFL season. I'm debating with myself. This is the first time in my life I've had the opportunity to purchase NFL Sunday Ticket. I've never had the opportunity before. I've never had DirecTV.
Mm-hmm.
But this year I can purchase NFL Sunday Ticket through YouTube TV. And I'm like, yeah, I'm really debating about that. I'm trying to decide if I want to do that.
I think I heard somewhere that they actually have an option where you can subscribe by team rather than the entire league, but I don't know if that's accurate.
They haven't rolled that out yet. If they do that, I would love that. But I'm ready for the NFL season. Like, yeah, I want to see NFL football, of course, but I'm already ready for season 2 of the XFL. Like, I think we're going to see some great things in San Antonio in football over the next month or over the next year. I think the Gunslingers are going to challenge for the championship trophy. And then I think we're going to see the biggest improvement in the XFL next year is going to be our Brahmas. I just don't think anybody was happy with how things ended up last season. I saw a story that Hines Ward is bought in on season 2, already making plans, already moving forward on what to do season 2 wise. So yeah, let's get that done.
I would just love it if they were here more. And maybe that's in the work.
Maybe so. Bring San Antonio to Frisco. We're good. We're good in San Antonio. You're trying to drive around Frisco? Are you kidding me?
No.
Traffic around Frisco is awful. I don't know if y'all know that. Where did you see that? When I looked it up, it's NFL Sunday Ticket in addition to a YouTube subscription. Oh, you're talking about, NFL Sunday Ticket. It's like $400, but I wish they'd break it up into like 4 payments. I'd do it, but I'm debating right now.
So it was pretty expensive on DirecTV as well. I want to say
it was.
Yeah,
it was.
Over the area of 300. A little hack though for people that know. I don't know if YouTube is going to carry on with this, which is I'm curious to see. I don't qualify for it anymore. But if you are or happen to have a college student in your family, then before, at least when it was on DirecTV, there was a college student option because they could watch it remotely from their dorm room or whatever on their computer and only get the NFL ticket streamed. And it was much more affordable than getting it through the DirecTV service. And me having a college students at the time, I took advantage of that option. But unfortunately, that's no longer the case in the Llamas household. But for those listening that might have or be college students, certainly look into that. Well, I don't know if it's an option. It was with DirecTV. I'm wondering if it is for YouTube.
Of bad news.
Uh-oh.
I looked into this because I now have a college freshman and I'm fixing to have another college freshman next year. So I looked into this because I was very excited. And at this time, both YouTube and Google has said there are no plans for a student package for.
Wow.
Now they could change their mind. But at this time, there are no plans for a student package for NFL Sunday Ticket.
Wah, wah, wah.
Exactly.
But
the NFL is what it is. And we're going to have fun with NFL season, and we're going to enjoy ourselves, and we're going to love football because we love football. But I say all that to say, I almost want to like hurry up and let's get through that so that we can get to season 2
I can't
of
wait.
the XFL. Like I'm
Definitely
ready to
looking
see
forward to
what
that.
happens. Yeah, and then there's always the pirate option. James Palmer jumping in and saying, "I just get a jailbroke Fire Stick, and it's all free." Yeah, if you go that direction, that's one way to do it. I've done some of that before myself at one time, but I'd be willing to pay for it if they would just give me that student option, and I could Courtney. I would pay for Courtney's subscription.
So that she could watch the football
so
games.
that she could watch the NFL.
Of course.
And if she's not watching it, then maybe I would watch it. I don't know if there's a game that she's not watching, maybe I'd watch it. It was a good game. It was a great game. It was a great experience. San Antonio showed up and showed out. I know I saw a lot of people that were like, "Oh, 22,000 is kind of low," and I think
Some
it was
people
solid.
are never happy.
Yep.
Right.
Well, I'm going to give credit where credit's due. San Antonio did show up and show out, but so did St. Louis, and so did Arlington, and so did DC.
Right.
Those guys, I mean, there were, like I said, a very diverse fan base there. And for the first time in the tailgate, we were all mingled and mixed together, and we had a great time. And there was not, there was some ribbing and some jabbing and cheering and a little competitiveness in there, but it was all in good fun. There was no ugliness, at least that I witnessed. There are, exceptions always, but not so much here in San Antonio. We've got a great group of fans here, and it's a perfect place to host an event where you get people like that. And it was an XL family, and there was even a picture taken with all the fan base groups together and kind of cheering the XFL as a whole.
Yeah, it was a great experience. I'm glad they chose San Antonio for the first year of it. We'll see if they do that again. But I think it was just exactly what they wanted. Hey, I got a question for you. I've seen a ton of pictures of Dwayne Johnson at the game, but every single picture I have seen at him at that game, he looks mad. Have y'all noticed this?
No.
Like every picture I've seen of him, he has this angered expression on his face. And I'm like, am I missing something? Was there a story that I didn't catch about him being upset over something? Because every single one, like it would be one thing if it was like 2 or 3 of them, they just caught him at a bad time. But even at the trophy presentation, I've seen some pictures there, and he just didn't look happy. I don't know what was going on.
I don't know. Pre-game, he seemed to be okay. He was meeting and talking to people, both he and Danny, just right down below the section we were sitting in, and he was smiling there and talking to some people. So I don't know. I don't know what happened over the course of the evening that possibly had him upset. Mo Ferrante is saying that she agrees with you. He looked angry. And then quickly moved the camera away from him when that happened. So, interesting.
Well, I do know that he was shaking the hands of that little boy that I can't remember his name, shaking his hand and kind of talking to him for a minute or two. So he looked happy then. I don't know. I think Philip froze again. We're gonna call this
he's having
the
technical
Frozen
difficulties tonight.
episode.
Yeah, the Frozen episode. Jordan says no one could smell what The Rock was cooking.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure. Overall, the XFL had to be happy and excited with how things went. Whenever you're putting on a production this big and this important, there's always going to be something that doesn't go according to plan. There's always going to be some kind of hitch within the planning, and maybe something that was supposed to happen didn't go down a certain way, and he may have been caught in a moment or a couple of moments where he was concerned with that. I don't know. We don't know, not being behind the scenes, but the production value of the championship game as a fan there and on the broadcast, I think it was excellent. I think it was very good. So I think the XFL has a lot to be proud of with this first season and the success of completing that first season and their championship game. And every XFL fan that I know and that I've talked to, they're very much looking forward to season 2. And there's going to be a season 2. So, I mean, yeah,
even better.
What more can you ask as far as that? Yeah, James Palmer says Vince called and wanted the XFL back. Maybe he's trying to take it back from Dwayne.
No,
yeah, that's not happening.
No.
Yeah, as Mo says, yes, so ready for season 2. You know, it hurt, it stung. I joked around with Philip earlier in the show when he said, you know, it didn't even matter that the Brahmas weren't in the game. I said, no, it mattered. It mattered. It stung as a Brahmas fan to go to this game knowing that we were so close to having an opportunity to actually be in the game and watch our Brahmas there. And we didn't get that opportunity. Instead, Arlington came in, and I think it makes you feel a little bit better that the team that squeaked our team out as a Brahmas fan, if you're a Brahmas fan, I know a lot of not Brahmas fans follow and watch the show and are on right now, but as a Brahmas fan, I think it made me feel a little bit better that the team that was in the playoffs in our stead, that they're the ones that had the Cinderella story and came back and defied the odds and won the championship. I would have been even more upset if Arlington had gone in and played a stinker in Houston and got blown away, and then we had, you know, Houston and DC in the championship game, because then I would have been like, yeah, you know, the Brahmas could have, you know, had a shot there. They could have represented themselves like so much better.
We could have done better than that. Yeah, for sure. It was a great game, but XFL season is officially over. Wah, wah.
It is.
It's done.
Wah, wah.
Robert Rankin says Romo makes that field goal and the Renegades aren't XFL champions. You know what I thought was interesting when we talked to Brian last week is he said they purposely did not play to their full potential in that final game of the season when they lost to Houston because they didn't need to.
They knew they were in already.
They knew they were in, and they didn't need to show Houston anything. So you got to wonder, do they play a little harder and maybe win that game in Houston and go instead of San Antonio, even though we won a game? Who knows? It's all in the books now, and that's not the way it happened. And we just got to look towards season 2. And that's what we'll do. But between now and season 2, don't put your football fandom away.
Nope.
Because the Gunslingers are still here. They are 4-0 now. I think they've got a real good shot of coming into the Freeman Coliseum here in a week and a half at 5-0. And then we get to have them for 4 straight games. What more could you want? You complained, San Antonio football fans, that the Brahmas were not a good football team, so you didn't want to waste your time on that. Okay, but using your...
Frozen.
I think we got another Frozen episode here, but I'll finish his thought.
Okay.
I'm still here.
People,
okay, good.
Here's a good football team. Now support that. If you were one of those people like, I can't support that trash, fine. You're wrong, but fine. Here's a good football team. You going to support that? Because I bet you're not. I bet you're going to give me a different excuse. I bet you're going to give me another excuse. But here's a good one. Go support that. 8,000. Let's get 8,000 in the Freeman Coliseum.
May 28th.
Just do it.
Blow the Jacksonville Jaguars out of the building as soon as they walk on the field. They go, I don't want any of this. Let's get through this game fast and get back on the bus or back on the plane. I don't want to deal with any of this. Let's make it a big deal. A military appreciation. We are Military City, USA. Let's make a big deal of them coming to town. And hey, a few of you head out there to Odessa and certainly come to the watch party and support your Gunslingers.
We'll watch them go 5-0. You know what? I wish we could play the Warbirds for colors. because it annoys me that their uniforms are so. I don't want to be like, oh, I really like the uniforms. I don't like the uniforms, and that type of football fan. But their uniforms are so similar to the look and color of ours, and I feel like we were here in the NAL first. And it's like, come up with your own look, guys. So I wish we could play them for the rights to that and say, okay, time to change your colors, guys.
Yeah, we won this year. You've got to pick a different color set. Different colors.
That. Well, they say imitation is what the greatest flattery.
Yeah, the greatest form of flattery. Yes.
Yeah, I have a feeling they were probably that same color scheme for some time now. They came from another league. And I do remember them having the same. And the logo loans itself to the red, white, and blue, with the military, so the Warbird emblem. But still,
that's our thing.
Yeah,
we were here first.
The uniform design is actually very similar. So that's going to be some getting used to when we first watch that game. Yes, their logo is nice, Michael Wayne Davis. He told me at the watch party he likes that logo. It's cool.
It's very odd in the NAL that so many teams have similar color schemes. Jacksonville and Orlando are both black and red. And then West Texas and San Antonio are both red, white, and blue. It's one of those, a league that is accepting teams, not creating teams.
Right.
So they can't diversify that as much. But it does look kind of odd that you have so many teams that kind of look like each other in a way. Well, we're excited about the Gunslingers as they attempt to go 5-0 against the West Texas Warbirds. And we're excited gearing up already for season 2 of San Antonio Brahmas football. Why? Because when it comes to professional football in the Alamo City, whether it's the 50-yard fight or the 100-yard variety, if it's a NAL game in the arena or the XFL Championship game, when it comes to professional football, the 210 has got something to say.
Bang, bang.
Thanks so much, all of you that are still hanging out with us. Johnny, Michael, Robert, those are the ones I see you immediately. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Jordan, thanks for hanging out and answering some of those questions on the fly. We appreciate you.
See you on Saturday.
Thanks so much. Yeah. Saturday, watch party. Be there. Oh, RC's out.